Bhagat Singh was something which came to my mind instantaneously, because Bhagat Singh is one character from our history which inspires people in India across languages, across cultures, from Punjab to Kerala. And during my work on Bhagat Singh last 30 years, I have felt it again and again that Bhagat Singh and his ideas, his ideology, his intellectual inheritance, which I am going to talk about today, is so relevant even now in today's India. And we should not say with pride that his ideas are relevant, because if things are relevant which was said in 1920s, which means we haven't done enough to make Bhagat Singh irrelevant, because those things were said in 1920s, early 30s, and since then we should have moved forward. But sadly, we haven't moved ahead, and I will try to show how we have failed him, like we have failed so many others. Bhagat Singh is generally is celebrated by people as a great martyr, which he was. But what was Bhagat Singh besides being a great nationalist? Because Bhagat Singh was not just a nationalist, he was not just a martyr, he was more than that. अफसोस की बात यह है कि हम 23 मार्च जो शहादत का दिन है, उस दिन तस्वीर पर माला चढ़ा के भूल जाते हैं और उसके बाद फिर अगले साल का इंतजार करते हैं. ये ख्याल नहीं होता है कि भगत सिंह ने क्या लिखा, भगत सिंह ने जो लेगेसी छोड़ी वो लेगेसी क्या है. क्योंकि भगत सिंह कोई पहले शहीद नहीं थे, भगत सिंह से पहले बहुत शहीद हुए और भगत सिंह के बाद भी बहुत लोगों ने शहादत दी. लेकिन भगत सिंह उनसे अलग क्यों है, उसकी वजह सिर्फ ये है, और साथ में भगत सिंह के साथ 2 लोग और शहीद हुए थे. Why is Bhagat Singh so different? Bhagat Singh is different because Bhagat Singh wrote, read, understood the world, tried to explain the world to the people, tried to leave behind a vision of India, a vision of independent India, the India he wanted to see, the India he wanted to prosper. That India he imagined and penned that in so many ways as a young man. Unfortunately, we don't care to read. Many people are not even aware. मैं बहुत जगह बोलता हूँ तो जब लेक्चर के बाद लोग कहते हैं कि साहब ये तो हमने तो कभी सुना ही नहीं था. भगत सिंह ने सांप्रदायिकता पर लिखा है, अनटचेबिलिटी पर लिखा है, स्टूडेंट पॉलिटिक्स पर लिखा, रिलीजन एंड पॉलिटिक्स पर लिखा, यूनिवर्सल ब्रदरहुड पर लिखा. किसी को मालूम नहीं, और उसके लिए हम किसी को ब्लेम नहीं कर सकते. रीजन ये है कि काफी चीजें लोगों तक नहीं पहुंचती हैं. जिस आदमी का डायरेक्ट इंटरेस्ट नहीं है हिस्ट्री में, इतिहास में, वो बहुत सी चीजें नहीं पढ़ता है. लेकिन नौजवानों को खास तौर से कोशिश करनी चाहिए, और यही मेरी कोशिश रहती है जब भी मैं यूनिवर्सिटीज में, कॉलेजेस में जाता हूं, कि कम से कम नौजवान लोग अपनी पढ़ाई के साथ, क्योंकि बहुत लोग ये सवाल उठाते हैं कि भगत सिंह को कॉलेज में, यूनिवर्सिटीज में क्यों नहीं पढ़ाया जाता. और मैं ये कहता हूं भाई, बहुत सी चीजें ऐसी हैं कोर्स में नहीं पढ़ाई जाती हैं, और कोर्सेज इतने टाइट हैं, इतने ऑलरेडी इतनी चीजें हैं पढ़ाने और पढ़ने के लिए, कि उसमें भगत सिंह जैसे लोगों को आप नहीं उसमें इंक्लूड कर सकते. खास तौर से एक बड़ा चैप्टर भगत सिंह की राइटिंग्स पर हम नहीं कर सकते. हमको अपने शौक में पढ़ना पड़ेगा. किताबें अवेलेबल है बहुत सारी, मेरी लिखी हुई भी है और बहुत लोगों ने लिखा है, पढ़िए. लेकिन अफसोस की बात यह है कि वो नहीं हो पाता, और वही वजह है कि हम भगत सिंह जैसे लोगों को, उसकी राइटिंग्स को समझ नहीं पाते हैं, और ना ये जान पाते हैं कि भगत सिंह ने हमारे लिए क्या विरासत छोड़ी. भगत सिंह की थोड़ी सी जो जिंदगी है उसके बारे में आप थोड़ा सा जाने तो ज्यादा अच्छा होगा, क्योंकि भगत सिंह किस परिवार से थे और भगत सिंह ने जो कुछ किया वो क्यों किया. भगत सिंह बिलोंग टू अ फैमिली वेयर हिज अंकल अजीत सिंह was a other revolutionary who founded Bharat Mata Society, who was a peasant leader, who fought for peasant rights in 1910, 15, 19, early 20s. His own father Sardar Kishan Singh was a Congress activist, was a Gandhian. His uncle Swaran Singh died in prison fighting against the British. So he inherited these values of struggle for the country, for independence from his family. So he was actually a man who was brought up even as a child to fight for the country. So he didn't really inherit anything from outside. He inherited first from his own home, and then he taught himself world politics, philosophers of the world, poets of the world, which I will speak about briefly in the short time. So the struggle to write, to understand the world begins from home, and that is what Bhagat Singh is. And we should understand that whatever he did as an activist who was trained by his own family, who was taught by his own family. Now, another thing which we need to keep in mind when we listen or read about Bhagat Singh is that he was hanged at the age of 23. So he had no time. He was not even a mature young man. He was just a young man. He started writing at the age of 17. He became a full-time political activist at the age of 17. At the age of 23 and 4 months, he was hanged by the British. So he had 6 years of active life, active political life, active intellectual life. And these 6 years, you can imagine, in today's world, in today's India, even now, despite all sorts of facilities we have in terms of access to knowledge, access to information, our young people can't even think coherently. Forget about speaking or writing. People can't even think coherently. And if you read his writings, you can't imagine what all he wrote at this age, and under so much pressure. Because out of these 6 years, 2.5 years were spent, 3 years were spent behind underground, hiding from the British, and 2 years were spent in prison. So this is the life we are talking about. So when we listen to what he wrote or read what he wrote, we should keep in mind that here is a man who was under so much pressure at this young age, and he did so much for us. And sadly, we don't even commemorate him properly the way we should. Bhagat Singh wrote his first article of his life as a journalist in 1924, and this article, look at the subject he chose to write. The subject was Universal Brotherhood. Universal Brotherhood at the age of 17, a subject which is so difficult to even comprehend, to write. He wrote at the age of 17. It was published in a Hindi magazine which used to come out from Calcutta, called Matwala. It was published in 2 parts. Now, one can actually have a lecture on that particular article itself. There's so much he wrote, 4, 5, 6 pages. But I will just briefly refer to what he writes. He begins by the word Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam and says, we so proudly as Indians talk about Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, but see what we do to ourselves, to our own people. See what sort of life we live. We only proclaim this slogan as just to flaunt it. But exactly what are we? What are we doing? How we have treated our own people, our own fellow citizens. And he goes into details of casteism, of untouchability, all sorts of things, and hatred towards each other. And this he is writing at the age of 17. Now I am reminding you again and again, but he is not a mature man who is writing. He is somebody who is just 17. And this is what he is thinking about India in those times, in 1924. So this is the career he begins as a writer. In 1926, and I will just mix his activist life and his writings together because they all go hand in hand together. In 1925, Bhagat Singh had to leave home because his father wanted to get him married. These are all problems all young men and women face in their families. Parents want to get children married early. His father was a normal family, and they all wanted their young man to get married. And Bhagat Singh had already declared that he is not going to marry. And the reasons he gave not to marry, one was that he is committed to India. Second reason was that why are you getting married? I have seen in my family, my aunt Ajit Singh's wife is languishing in the family. My uncle is busy somewhere, exiled from India forever. He came back to India in 1947, 15th August, died on the day India got independence in Calcutta. So he said, my aunt is languishing here without his husband. Another wife, my chachi died, is there. My uncle Swaran Singh died of tuberculosis in British prison very early in life. So why do you want to prepare another widow in the house? Because I'm going to die any day. So I'm not ready to get married. So he left Lahore for Kanpur. He comes to Kanpur, meets Ganeshshankar Vidyarthi, who is a great ideologue of left of the center politics of those times, a congressman. Brings out a paper, Pratap. Bhagat Singh started working for this paper as a young man. He also wrote a few articles in Pratap. In Kanpur, he met most of the revolutionaries with whom he worked later on in 1925. Chandrasekhar Azad, Shiv Varma, Hasrat Mohani, who was a great labor leader in those times and who was also a friend of Bhagat Singh's father, Sardar Kishan Singh. And so he was here for a year. Finally, Sardar Kishan Singh came to know that Hasrat Mohani is in touch with Bhagat Singh. Because they were friends, he requested Hasrat Mohani to convince his son to come back to Lahore. And that's how Bhagat Singh agreed. He went back finally to Lahore, but of course he didn't marry. This is a little episode in his life because it goes on not only his personal life but his revolutionary life as well, because Kanpur stint of few months, less than a year, was very important because he became a member of HRA, Hindustan Republican Association, which was formed by UP revolutionaries, Chandrasekhar Azad and others, Bismil, Shafaqullah Khan. After going back to Lahore, he continues his activist life. British government, and I wrote recently in some paper because somebody asked me to write about students and politics, because these days lots of our great leaders of today, they advise students to study in the context of JNU, in the context of so many other universities which are facing trouble today. Students are in the campus only for study, they don't need to really get into politics. And I wrote that look at these people. You venerate, you eulogize Bhagat Singh, you ask people to follow his ideals, and look at what Bhagat Singh was. Bhagat Singh spent all his life, revolutionary life, as a student. All his fellow comrades, they were all students, and they established Naujawan Bharat Sabha in Lahore. Bhagat Singh was the founder of Naujawan Bharat Sabha. What was Naujawan Bharat Sabha? Naujawan Bharat Sabha was a platform which Bhagat Singh and his associates formed in Lahore to counter the British campaign, the colonial government's campaign in the colleges, in the university, which was trying to suppress the students, trying to convince the parents, because they will instituted a fine if the parents are caught indulging in politics. This is what the British government tried to do. The Naujawan Bharat Sabha was a platform which Bhagat Singh tried to form. It became very active body, used to organize large number of meetings. They had a huge membership in Punjab and Western Uttar Pradesh and Rajasthan. What was the objective of this front? And now you can see the ideological leanings and commitments of Bhagat Singh and his associates. They very clearly spelled out in the objectives of the Naujawan Bharat Sabha that anybody who wants to become a member has to leave behind his religious association. No religious identity will be flaunted by any member when he is actively involved in Naujawan Bharat Sabha activities. No caste affiliations, no class distinctions. So these were all objectives which were spelled out in Naujawan Bharat Sabha. Second thing which is relevant even today, and I have written about this repeatedly in the context of slogans which we keep talking about today, and keep emphasizing that one particular slogan is important, is very central. If you don't chant that slogan, you are not Indian enough. So this is a lesson we have to learn from Naujawan Bharat Sabha. Naujawan Bharat Sabha of Bhagat Singh, what they did? They said the Congress party of those times used to, and Congress was, we can't blame the Congress party, they were trying to use their own way to bring people together from different religions to fight against the British. They used to use in their meetings mainly three or four slogans which identified different communities, like Nara Takbir, Allahu Akbar, Sat Sri Akal, for the Sikhs, Bande Mataram, or Har Har Mahadev for Hindus. These were slogans generally chanted in the Congress meetings, just to make everybody involved from all religions. Bhagat Singh and his associates said in Naujawan Bharat Sabha that we don't agree with this. By doing this, you are making people conscious of their religious identity. We are Indians. Our slogan is Inqilab Zindabad and Hindustan Zindabad. Workers of the world unite. That's all. No identity of any sort. So in all their meetings, nowhere any slogan besides these two were raised. No religious identity was supposed to be espoused. And so Bhagat Singh felt that by doing this, you are not actually bringing people together, you are making them conscious of their religion. Not as Indians, but as Hindus and Muslims and Sikhs and other communities. So this is how Bhagat Singh tried to, as a young man, tried to use Naujawan Bharat Sabha as a platform, the objectives. They used to organize lots of things like social dinners. This is some, I don't know whether you have heard the name of the great writer and revolutionary Yashpal. Yashpal was their associate. In his 3 volumes, Singhavalokan, he writes one section on, people generally question Yashpal on so many counts, that all is, whatever he wrote, everything is not to be believed. Because he, as a writer, he imagined lots of things which didn't probably happen. But one thing he wrote about Naujawan Bharat Sabha, that they used to organize social dinners. And in one of the social dinners, they organized a feast after the meeting, and that feast had halal and jhatka meat cooked together. Because in Punjab, because of Sikh and Muslim population, this was a major issue. So they decided to bridge this gap by using this sort of food. They cooked dinners in one pot and served, which everybody ate without any issue. So these were some steps which people like Bhagat Singh, as a young age, and his other associates, comrades, they took, and they carried it forward for several years. Besides doing all this, from 26 to 28, in 2 years, Bhagat Singh matured as an intellectual, as a young intellectual, because this is the time when Shiv Varma, in one of his interviews, which is there in Tinmurti Library in the oral history section, where he talks about Bhagat Singh, he says, Bhagat Singh, actually, it was very difficult. I don't remember that I ever saw him without a book, because he was always in his jacket, 2 books here, 2 books here, 4 or 5 books at a time. That's how he used to move around. So he was so fond of reading, and that's why in a short life he could understand so much, he could write so much, because you cannot write unless you read. So he wrote because he read, and he read because he had no other time. He had nothing else to do. All his spare time was spent in reading. How he managed to get those books? This is again a question which people raise many times. There were 2 sources. One was Dwarkadas Library, which Lala Lajpat Rai established in Lahore, and Raja Ram Shastri was a librarian of that library, and he has, in his testimony, he has mentioned that how Bhagat Singh used to devour, he used to just devour, he never used to read, he used to just devour the books. No? He used to make notes, whenever he used to come to the library, he was so passionately, even in prison, one of his friends, which is the letter which we have, which is available in the archives, which I have used also. Jayadev Gupta was somebody from my city, Meerut, and who was a very dear friend of Bhagat Singh. So he wrote several letters to Jayadev Gupta, and all those letters have a list of books. Next time when you come to meet me, please get these books. And just look at the list. That list includes not only revolutionary literature from all over the world, but poetry, Rumi's, Ghalib, and Rabindranath Tagore's writings. So Tennyson, Wordsworth. So he was not reading just political literature. He was reading literature which included poetry, which included fiction, which included drama. He read everything. That's how Bhagat Singh was made. No, otherwise, whatever he has left behind was not possible. It was possible because he had such a wide reading, such a committed reading, that, and I will come to a section which is more important, the part he spent in prison. Now, by 1928, when he becomes a mature political activist, he decides that Hindustan Republican Association, of which he became a member in Kanpur, this association need to change. They need to add socialism to the name. Not only the objective, but the name itself should reflect their commitment. They held a meeting in Delhi, in the Firoz Shah Kotla, which we still have, in the ruins of Firoz Shah Kotla, on 8th-9th September 1928. In that meeting, about 10 people participated from UP, Punjab, Rajasthan. 2 days they had a debate, intense debate, on what is going to be the agenda. And Bhagat Singh convinced, because many people felt that HRA is a known name, we should not meddle with name and all that. But Bhagat Singh convinced that don't go by what name stands for. Main thing is we should spell out our objective in the name itself. So socialism is, because he was under the spell of Bolshevik revolution, which was so fresh, and he wanted socialism to be part of their objective. So HRA became HSRA, Hindustan Socialist Republican Association, in September 1928. So this is the evolution of the man from a young activist to a mature socialist thinker. Because he convinced, in 2 days debate, he spoke so much that whatever he read, whatever he understood, the politics of the world, politics of India, he convinced his fellow comrades that this is how we need to work. The objective needs to be changed, and the name need to be changed. In 1928, this happens. Next year, in between, and I am talking about all those things which are related to his ideology, related to his intellectual inheritance, because other activities we all keep reading, killing and throwing bombs and all, that is not so important for me. Main thing is something which is live, which we need to remember now, which can be a part of our lives even now. He decides in 1929, in between we have Saunders' murder, Lajpat Rai's revenge with the British, the way they killed him. In 1929, something very important happens, something which speaks about his commitment. He decides to go and throw bombs in the assembly, because there was a trade disputes bill being pursued by the British government, which was something which was going to affect the workers, the labor class, the poor, and Bhagat Singh was writing about it, speaking about it. So many other people were talking about it in those days, but the British government never listened. So Bhagat Singh felt that we need to make some noise. Now for this, and this is something which people have written and talked about, I have also done that that these bombs, if he went and exploded these bombs in the assembly, no, they didn't really kill anyone. No, this was such a useless attempt. Why did he do that? People don't know. If you go into details, they had an office in Agra in 1928 after Bhagat Singh comes back from Calcutta, because he escapes to Calcutta after Saunders' murder. He comes back from Calcutta with some Bengali experts, comrades, including Jatin Das, who taught them to make bombs. They tested those bombs in the jungle for 6 months, tested their intensity so that they make only noise and smoke. They don't really hurt anybody. This was an attempt. This is all documented. You can find the files in archives, how they planned the whole thing. So it was a gesture of awakening the deaf government, and not to really kill anybody. Because there were people like Motilal Nehru and Muhammad Ali Jinnah and so many others who were sitting in the assembly when the bombs were thrown. And all these leaders kept sitting while the British panicked. No, they kept sitting. That is a testimony of those times, that these people actually didn't get affected. And Jinnah spoke very, very appreciatively about Bhagat Singh later on. His bravery and his commitment, all that. Anyway, now this action in the assembly was not just merely a revolutionary action. It was an ideological commitment of Bhagat Singh to react against the British government, which was working against the interest of the poor and the working class. The attempt was to make the deaf hear, and that was the leaflet which they threw in the assembly, which said to make the deaf hear. It was a quote taken from Vaillant, the French thinker, and this is a title which I used for my first book also on Bhagat Singh, to make the deaf hear. So this is the ideological commitment which was reflected in his revolutionary action as well. Now, his other part of his life, which is again very important, and this is something which I want to spend more time on, is his life as a journalist. Like Bhagat Singh spent almost a year in 1928 working for a paper called Kirti. Kirti used to be published in Urdu and Punjabi, Gurmukhi, from Amritsar. It was brought out by Sohan Singh Josh, who was a member of the Kirti Kisan Party, Workers and Peasants Party. They were all people committed to socialist cause. There was no communist movement as such. Communist Party was founded in 25, but they were doing it independently as socialists, as people who were committed to the ideals of socialism. And Bhagat Singh became part of it. As an active member of Sohan Singh Josh's editorial group, he became editorial assistant and was given a responsibility to write certain columns. Now, 28, 29, every month, Bhagat Singh had actually sometimes 2 columns in 1 month. And what were these? And this is what I say, that Bhagat Singh is relevant even today, which is so sad that he is relevant even today. He writes about untouchability, a long 5-page article on untouchability. And he says, and this is something so relevant even now, he is writing in 1928, imagine. He says, what is this? We call ourselves great human beings, great civilization, ancient civilization, talk so highly about our civilization, and this is what we do to our own people. No, we have identified a huge population of our country whose even touch actually pollutes us. What sort of Indians we are? And then we claim that we need liberation from the British. The British discriminate. Can't you peep into your own, into yourself and see what you do to your own people? Unless you stop discriminating with your own people, you have no right to ask for any justice from the British, because you are actually doing it to yourself, to your own people. So this is the argument he builds in this article, and then goes on. He was, you can imagine, he writes about the senior leaders by name, like Madan Mohan Malviya. He says, we have great leaders like Madan Mohan Malviya. You know what he does? He talks about the backward, the untouchables. He is very passionately sympathetic to them. But see what he does? He went to Patna, where he embraced a Dalit, and after going back home, he washed his clothes. No? This is what our leaders are, and he names him. This is the courage of a young man. He could name Madan Mohan Malviya, he could have actually said some senior leader, but he had the courage to actually name him. And it's all there in the article. And then he says that in Patna there was a meeting there was a huge gathering of untouchables, which was organized by Lalaji Lajpat Rai. In that meeting, it was Lalaji has been very passionate about the cause of the untouchables, fighting for their rights. But when he raised the issue of their rights, told people to actually who will wear Janevu, who will not wear Janevu, no, who can enter our kitchens, who can't enter our kitchens. And he says they are so. I feel so ashamed that a dog can enter our kitchen, but a Dalit cannot. A dog can sit on our lap, doesn't pollute us, but a touch of the untouchable pollutes us. These are Bhagat Singh's words, not mine. And he says, when Lalaji was addressing the gathering, large number of people actually got up and protested. But Lalaji, being Lalaji, he prevailed upon everybody and saved the face of Hinduism. No? It would have been a shame had Lalaji not succeeded. He succeeded in calming down people's tempers. So this is how Bhagat Singh goes on in that article, talking about untouchability. So this is something which a young man in 1928, at the age of 19 or 20, is writing about Indian social system, and he is not only talking about this. He goes into Indian tradition, in Shastras and all that. Whatever he has read, he tried to reflect upon that. Second, very important piece, which is again very relevant today, is communalism, and I want to talk about communalism not generally. This is which has become part of our lives because we are all facing it all the time. So we don't need to really. I don't need to really talk about that. He says, in the context of press, and we are talking the press club. He's talking about the press in those times and press in 1928. He says Indian press today means in 1928 has become irresponsible. Most of the riots, most of the communal violence takes place because the press behaves irresponsibly. In those days, the press was only the print press. There was no electronic media. So he's talking about the newspapers. Most of the newspapers actually use provocative headlines, and these are Bhagat Singh's words. Provocative headlines which divide our people. The objective of our press was to build common nationality, common heritage, togetherness, and these are all his words. Togetherness. But see what they are doing. They are dividing us. They are dividing us. They are depriving us of togetherness. They are teaching us to fight amongst ourselves. They divide us on the basis of religion, on the basis of caste, on the basis of region, language. This is what press is doing to us. So this is something so shameful. So you can imagine, Bhagat Singh was disappointed with the press in 1928. Why should we be disappointed now? Because it has happened. It began so many years back. So it's not that it's something new which is happening. The only thing is that we have taken that forward, improved upon that, improved negatively, unfortunately. So this is something which somebody like Bhagat Singh writes in 1928. There are so many things he's writing in those days. The best part of his and the most creative part of his life was spent in prison, unfortunately. But this was the part which matured him as a thinker, because if you look at the reading list, which is available in my book, also in other works as well. Look at the writers he's reading, and from economists to historians to political scientists to men of law, poetry, all sorts of people, diverse nationalities, all over, diverse languages, whatever was available to him, all that. Now, after reading all that, he ends up writing the most profound piece of his career, writing career, which is Why I'm an Atheist. Why I'm an Atheist. मैं नास्तिक क्यों हूं? क्योंकि भगत सिंह का जो बाकी राइटिंग्स हैं वो तो मैच्योर हैं बहुत अपनी उम्र के हिसाब से, लेकिन Why I'm an Atheist, मैं नास्तिक क्यों हूं, ये एक बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट और सबसे बड़ा आर्टिकल है जो उन्होंने लिखा, 15-20 पेज का है, और जिसको 1931 में 1930 में अक्टूबर 1930 में वो चुपके से जेल से बाहर आया, और उसके बाद लाला जी का अखबार हुआ करता था द पीपल, उसमें वो छपा। सरदार सोरेन सिंह, किशन सिंह के फादर ने चुपचाप जेल से निकाल के वो छापा। प्रोफेसर बिपिन चंद्रा ने उसको बाद में दोबारा से छाप के उसको थोड़ा लोगों तक पहुंचाया, उससे पहले लोग जानते नहीं थे। लेकिन ये आर्टिकल एक ऐसा आर्टिकल है जिसमें कहने को तो वो बात हो रही है, वाई मैं एथीस्ट, मैं नास्तिक क्यों हूं, लेकिन उस आर्टिकल में भगत सिंह सिर्फ अपने फेथ की बात नहीं करता है। भगत सिंह इज टॉकिंग अबाउट साइंटिफिक टेम्पर, भगत सिंह इज टॉकिंग अबाउट रैशनैलिटी, भगत सिंह इज टॉकिंग about learning from the past, about fighting against regressive politics, about regressive values in our samaj, in our system. So he is talking about all that. Why I'm an Atheist तो टाइटल है, लेकिन टाइटल के अलावा वो उसमें ये सब चीजें हैं जो भगत सिंह ने कोशिश की उसमें उठाने की, और ये बताने की कोशिश किया। अच्छा, ये भी नहीं है, ये एक और चीज है जो आज के जमाने में हमारे लिए बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है। उन्होंने उस समय इस्तेमाल किया महात्मा गांधी का नाम। उन्होंने कहा कि गांधी जी को लोग पूजा करते हैं, रेस्पेक्ट करना तो मैं समझता हूं करना चाहिए किसी भी विद्वान की, किसी भी ऐसे व्यक्ति की जो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है हमारे जीवन में, लेकिन उस हद तक पूजा नहीं होनी चाहिए, उस वक्त तक रेस्पेक्ट नहीं होनी चाहिए जो पूजा की हद तक आ जाए। आप किसी की भी पूजा नहीं कर सकते ब्लाइंडली। आपको हर व्यक्ति को, हर इंडिविजुअल को आपको क्रिटिकली देखना है। तो गांधी जी में बहुत सी अच्छाइयां हैं, हम देखिए उस गांधी जी में अच्छाइयां, लेकिन गांधी जी को क्रिटिकली भी देखिए, समझने की कोशिश कीजिए, क्या लिखते हैं, क्या करते हैं, उनकी जो पॉलिटिक्स को भी आप क्रिटिकली देखिए। तो ये भगत सिंह 1930 में लिख रहा है, और ये जो व्यक्ति पूजा है, व्यक्ति पूजा इज द वर्ड ही इज यूजिंग, व्यक्ति पूजा नहीं होनी चाहिए। और ये आज के जमाने में भी बहुत जरूरी है लोगों को सीखना। लेकिन भगत सिंह की बात करते हो, भगत सिंह से कम यही कुछ सीखें कि व्यक्ति पूजा नहीं करनी चाहिए, क्रिटिकली देखना चाहिए। लेकिन चलिए, वो तो वो जमाना गया, हमने बहुत सी चीजें नहीं सीखी, उसमें ये भी नहीं सीखा। लेकिन भगत सिंह ने कोशिश किया ये बताने की कि गांधी जैसे व्यक्ति को भी, जिसको सारा देश इज्जत से देखता है, उसको भी आप क्रिटिकली अंडरस्टैंड करने की कोशिश करें। बेइज्जत ना करें, इज्जत जरूर कीजिए, लेकिन क्रिटिकली पढ़िए, क्रिटिकली समझिए उनकी पॉलिटिक्स को भी, सियासत को भी, फिलॉसफी को भी। सो पूरा वाई एम एन एथीस्ट में सब ये आपको चीज मिलेगी, और साफ तौर से पता चलता है कि भगत सिंह का जो अपना स्टेचर है वो किस हद तक, जो कुछ उन्होंने पढ़ा उससे किस हद तक वो पहुंचा, कहां तक पहुंचा, और क्या उन्होंने समझा। और वो अफसोस की बात यह है कि इतना सब कुछ समझने और लिखने के बाद भी हमने कुछ भी सीखने की कोशिश नहीं की। वाई एम एन एथीस्ट वो एक ऐसा डॉक्यूमेंट है जो पूरी हिस्ट्री हमारा जो एंशिएंट कल्चर है उसके बारे में बात करता है। बहुत सी चीजें आपको उसमें मिलेंगी। तो भगत सिंह का ये 1930 का जो आर्टिकल है ये लास्ट नहीं है, लास्ट आर्टिकल है जो भगत सिंह ने 3 फरवरी 1931 को उनके फांसी से 1 महीना लेस देन अ मंथ बिफोर एक रिलीज किया, वहां से एक अपील इन द नेम ऑफ फॉर द यूथ ऑफ पंजाब, फॉर द यूथ ऑफ इंडिया, जिसमें वो बहुत सी बातें करते हैं और ज्यादातर वही चीजें हैं जो वह मैंने तीसरे कही और जो पहले कही, लेकिन उनको कॉन्क्रिटाइज करके एक जगह जमा करके कोशिश किया लोगों तक पहुंचाने की। तो पूरा जो जीवन है भगत सिंह का, मैं तो भगत सिंह की कोई रेवोल्यूशनरी एक्टिविटी की बात किया ही नहीं, मैं सिर्फ इंटेलेक्चुअल नैरेटिव्स की बात कर रहा हूं, वो भी थोड़े से ब्रीफ, थोड़े से समय में। लेकिन अफसोस की बात यह है कि हम कुछ भी पढ़ने की कोशिश नहीं करते ना, हम ये भी नहीं समझते हैं कि भाई वो आदमी जो जिसका नाम हम बार बार मैंने एक अलग कॉन्टेक्स्ट में भी ये कहा है कि भगत सिंह एक अकेला आदमी है जिसका सेलिब्रेशन दोनों मुल्कों में होता है, हिंदुस्तान और पाकिस्तान। मतलब मैं लाहौर 3 बार गया हूं भगत सिंह के सिलसिले में, सेमिनार में बोलने के लिए, अपनी पहली किताब का लॉन्च उन्होंने वहां किया था, उसके लिए गया। और आप इमेजिन नहीं करेंगे कितनी रिस्पेक्ट, कितनी इज्जत वहां पर एक बड़े सेक्शन में है, छोटे में नहीं, बहुत बड़ा सेक्शन है जो भगत सिंह को एक मैं अभी लास्ट 2014 या 15 में गया था, गदर मूवमेंट पर, 100 साल के गदर मूवमेंट पर उन्होंने 2 दिन का एक सेमिनार किया। और अफसोस की बात यह है कि हमारे हिंदुस्तान में किसी यूनिवर्सिटी ने नहीं किया, नॉट इवन वन। कोई लेक्चर हो गया हो तो कहीं हुआ हो, लेकिन वहां पर 2 दिन का सेमिनार, इंटरनेशनल सेमिनार, जिसमें स्कॉलर्स फ्रॉम अमेरिका, यूएस, हिंदुस्तान से मैं और हरीश पुरी साहब हमारे गदर पर काम किया उन्होंने अमृतसर पे, वो थे 2 लोग। और वहां पर भगत सिंह को लेके उन्होंने बाकायदा, मुझे शादमान चौक जहां भगत सिंह को फांसी हुई थी वहां वो लेके गए, वहां पे प्रेस ने बाकायदा इंटरव्यू लेके उसको छापा, अपील किया, मेरे थ्रू कराया। तो ये पैशन है उन लोगों में, एक बड़ा समाज है जो चाहता है। क्यों है वो? सिर्फ इसलिए है, वो पाकिस्तान जैसे मुल्क में गांधी, नेहरू, सबके बारे में ओपिनियंस डिवाइडेड हो सकती हैं, भगत सिंह के बारे में नहीं है। इसलिए कि भगत सिंह ने कभी भी डिवाइड की बात ही नहीं किया, उसकी पूरी राजनीति ही, पूरी पॉलिटिक्स, पूरी राइटिंग्स, सबको मिलजुल के एक साथ, एक हिंदुस्तान, कंपोजिट नेशनलिज्म की बात की, इंडिविजुअल नेशनलिज्म, कंपोजिट नेशनलिज्म, उसकी बात की, चाहे वो जर्नलिस्टिक राइटिंग्स हो, चाहे उसकी अपनी जो पॉलिटिकल एक्शन हो। तो उसमें कहीं तो ये एक ऐसा व्यक्ति है जो दोनों मुल्कों में एक कॉमन कैरेक्टर मेरे फीचर कर सकता है, जिसको आप इस्तेमाल कर सकते हैं। लोग अनफॉर्चुनेटली हमने वो भी नहीं किया कि भगत सिंह के नाम पर हम कम से कम बहुत से अपने डिफरेंसेस भुला सकते थे। अब तो हम उस स्टेज से बहुत आगे निकल गए, क्योंकि दुश्मनी की स्टेजेस ज्यादा बढ़ गई, उधर से भी इधर से भी। लेकिन एक टाइम था जब भगत सिंह का इस्तेमाल हम कर सकते थे, लेकिन हमने वो भी नहीं किया, क्योंकि एक ऐसे कैरेक्टर्स इतिहास में बहुत कम मिलते हैं जो जोड़ते हैं, ज्यादातर तो तोड़ने वाले कैरेक्टर्स हैं। तो भगत सिंह इज वन कैरेक्टर which actually binds people together in the name of religion, in the name of culture, in the name of nationhood. And this is something which is so much needed in today's India, and something which we are actually missing. We need to recall him, we need to remember him in our lives, everyday life. We have to live him every day. We don't have to remember him only on 23rd March. That's what we do. And all those who talk about him as a great nationalist need to understand what nationalism he espoused. His nationalism was not divisive nationalism. His nationalism was not sectarian nationalism. His nationalism was to bring people together without religion, without caste, without community, without language. And this is the message which Bhagat Singh has left for us, which unfortunately हम लोगों ने भुला दिया, जिसको हमें आज के हिंदुस्तान में खास तौर से बहुत ज्यादा जरूरत है। बहुत शुक्रिया।